Mic check, 1, 2, this ain't a bull tracker crew, this warehouse 15, but legends speak true. 3 rings on my fingers, gold medals green, but under this armor, life ain't always what it seemed. Yeah, we trained hard, pushed limits, reached the peak, but the pressure cooker boiled, man, so weeks I couldn't speak. Sponsorships.
It is the Warehouse 15, and for once, and I mean literally for once, TJ was on time. So we are extremely happy. We saw his beautiful dojang. It cost $1.50, and I asked him what it cost, and he said, you know, it is what it is, but it is beautiful. It is in North Carolina, and if you don't know where North Carolina is, you're in New York. You make a left, keep going, keep going, keep going. When you don't see any more dentist office, that's where his school is. So congratulations on a beautiful facility. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm good, chilling. Thank you. Definitely excited about the facility.
They should make you mayor of the city. Look at that smile you got, man. That's a lot of teeth.
Of Concord, you like that?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, no, it's definitely exciting to like kind of have a space and be able to do some things out of there. Looking forward to some events pretty soon. So now you got a reason to come.
I'm coming.
I'll be waiting.
Are there any other programs in North Carolina? Like, is there a Olympic Training Center or something there? No, I don't know. I don't know either.
I'm in Concord. I'll find the address for you. I'm in Concord.
Yeah, well, send me the address, and it shouldn't. Hopefully it's not the directions like turn left at the big tree, go as far as the crow can fly, and then look for the rock.
This is the Cali guy right here. You got to make a right at the Starbucks, and then go down the street till you find the bank. You know?
Exactly. Oh, geez. Well, Starbucks, and I could find it. Coach Moreno, how you doing today, sir?
I'm good. I think there's a lot of love in here. Look, I got my San Francisco Peak Camp that I did a couple of weeks back, and then I'm looking at Coach Jennings' shirt, High Performance, Mr. Jinsa.
Oh, you like that?
I'm going there tomorrow. So, man, it's just like everything just blends. Everything is perfect. Look, I got my nice empanada that I'm going to eat when I'm in the middle of this training.
Don't make me jelly. Don't make me jelly.
From
Well,
Argentina,
I know Jinsa. He's never invited me to anything. Nothing. Zero. Oh, he sponsored you? You finally got a sponsor?
Yeah, shout out to my sponsor.
Remind me again, yeah.
No, he gave it to me as a gift when I went there for a seminar I did a while back.
I want to thank the Budo brothers again. I'm wearing your beautiful in this chilly, not California weather. I'm doing a CPR. I was helping set up a CPR class at my son's school today, and I said, how long's the class? They said 3 hours. I go, 3 hours? I said, I know New York CPR. And they're like, what? I said, New York CPR, man. I said, yo, you better get up. You're gonna die. But anyway, we'll start with today's joke. I wanted to start with one thing before we get started because there's been all this hyperbole and whatever about whatever. But I wanted to give you guys just a sight of what I had seen.
Oh Lord!
I'm not done.
Know.
I'm not done. Hold on a second. Let me find it. Let me go back. Oh, I went the wrong way. But anyway, I'll find it here. Let me just search it because I think it's always a nice way to start. You guys can already see in the search bar what I'm looking for. But our
old school taekwondo
versus foot farting, I'll just put new, see what comes up. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm just taking a random thing.
And that was a good match, though.
Yeah, it's a short one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a great video. Not a great video.
Hey.
Not a great video.
I wish I had one of those buzzers.
Okay.
Well,
do think.
All right, no, here it is. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
This is actually my 50th take.
Oh my gosh,
that's okay though, because the script
Hold on a
gives me.
second.
Hold on a second.
Let me get past Bang Holly Swing Holly.
Hey,
That was actually
that was a big shot.
That actually was one of the rare moments of something beautiful.
You're failing again. That's just
I
two in a row.
know it's 2 in a row. I don't know what I'm
that's
looking at.
that's one of my friends, Carlos Sansores. But to be honest, to be fair, I'm going to go against it. That guy was horrible.
Oh, look at all this kicking. Look at this beauty.
Man, he's
That was 68, 63,
They're
68.
falling down. They're not hitting the chest guards. They're blocking. Come on. Kick each other in the butt. Look at these guys. Can't even stand up.
Not a scorpion kick to be seen.
Unbelievable. Running out of bounds. Falling. Guard is all out of control. No balance. Look at this guy on the floor.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, I think I'm going to start to cry.
Unbelievable.
All right.
All right.
I think I've made my point.
All right. So two
Let me
things.
try to figure out how to.
Since
Let me
you
try
brought that
to
up,
turn it.
I
Let me
heard
try
through
to
the
turn it
grapevine.
off now.
I heard through the grapevine, and someone said I've been ducking and dodging them on some taekwondo debates and stuff like that. So
Who's that?
So Grandmaster, Doctor, Philosopher, Buddhist monk, Master Stephen Kapner, if you'd like to be on our call, I would love to have you. We'd love to debate your philosophical debate. Yeah, I'll debate him. That's
Let me get this right. Let me get this. I just want to understand because you're throwing the gauntlet down. So you want to debate double doctor, not single doctor, 2 PhD, Dr. Stephen Kapner, 9th Dan Grandmaster, joined the club with me, and I'm going to see his ceremony. I invited the both of you. I think there's a limit for.
Time out. Okay, that's a great resume, but Dr. Grandmaster.
I only started.
Person hasn't seen a modern taekwondo match in about 10 years. So.
Oh, okay. That sounds like the gauntlet has been thrown. All right, good. Yeah.
Okay,
so
I'll judge.
He and I tried to watch one once, and then
first of all, he's one of my best seniors. So I'm only kidding. But second of all, I want to go say something real fast because I'm not going to say the guy's name, but he was a former military guy. I don't know if he's watching. I saw him at a competition last week, and he said something to me that made me really happy about the podcast, guys. He went up to me and said, "Hey, Coach." He goes, I've been watching the podcast and I enjoy you guys. I go, oh, thanks. We're trying to have fun with it, blah, blah, blah. And then he looked at me and said, you guys are saying what everyone's thinking. And I was just nice. Like, it made me so happy because I don't want to say his name because I didn't ask him if I could put him out there like that. I don't want to, do that. But it made me happy because I know we do this for fun. I know we talk about crazy stuff, but when I hear little things like that, I mean, I feel like we're doing the right thing, so kudos to you, both you guys for doing all this stuff. But people are listening and people are watching, and I think we're almost a voice for them. So I think it's really cool, guys.
I think that's a perfect segue into that new nonprofit that we're running for you, the Mex I Can profit. So if you want to make a donation to Mex I Can, you can make that donation and make it directly to me, and I'll make sure it gets to the right place. So,
there you go.
So Mex I Can. So, but it's good. I mean, I think that's truth. I think the truth needs to be spoken, and I think there are so few people. You usually start to speak the truth at 2 or 3 points in your life. One is you're old enough and you don't care. And you don't have anything anybody can take from you, nor do you care if they do take it. And then there are those that speak it all the time. And then there are those that just become senile like me, and then they start to speak because they can't do anything else. But with all that said, I heard there was a tournament going on somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. I mean, there's the Asian President's Cup, and then there's also the African President's Cup. One is in Ethiopia, obviously the African Cup, and then the other one is in China right now, which I haven't been able to watch all of it kind of live, but it's on YouTube, so it's always cool to go back and see what's going on. But I tell you what, TJ, I know one of my athletes were talking about one of the best guys from the Pan Am Union or organization fighting somebody at a World Cup, and it wasn't even close. And he goes, "That's one of our best people." And I said, while I agree sometimes that some of these other countries are more advanced and bigger and better than us, I have to agree, man. The depth of these tournaments that I'm watching over there is a little bit scary. I'm looking at 5 and 6 Iranians deep, 5 and 6 Koreans deep. Of course, it's in China, so there's a bunch of Chinese. The Kazakh team is doing good. I'm really excited. On Monday, I'm leaving to Uzbekistan with the Brazil group, and man, Uzbekistan looks like they're on fire. And these guys they look like they're on a, I don't want to say next level, but they're definitely separating themselves from people. So we got a lot of making up to do. I'm not sure what you think about that, TJ.
I think it's always been a little scary over there. You know what I mean? I mean, we've always known that historically, that's a strong side of the world. I think that's a side of the world that is I'm gonna say has fallen in love with the sport of taekwondo and pushed to advance it and paid to advance it and worked to advance it and they're, I mean, as you like you just said, they're definitely out front. You know what I mean? I mean, even when I looked at some of the junior stuff in comparison from the junior world championships and stuff like that, these kids or these systems are starting their professional levels, I think, really early, if you ask
And
me.
you also,
I think with the more success they have at the Olympic level, the more support they get from the bottom, and they push the bottom of the
that's what's
pile.
interesting is like, I mean, Coach, Young, back in the day, there were some good Jordan fighters, but they're, as a country, they haven't been big. But when in 2016, when Abu Ghash, the 68 guy, wins a gold medal, all of a sudden, the next 4 years, boom, Jordan's got money and resources, and all of a sudden, all these athletes are showing up. Rashidov wins the 68 in 2021 in Tokyo. Uzbekistan just through the roof, But I think what I'm seeing now is that they're showing up to these opens deep, right? Before we saw them at the World Championship, okay, there's one good Iranian. But when you start to see 4 and 5, and some of the Iranians I'm seeing over there, they're older. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not these young pups coming up just trying to, they're like these chiseled dudes that they look strong. And the same thing with Uzbekistan. I'm looking at these athletes that, I don't know, maybe they just got a chance to show their stuff because all of a sudden they have a little funding, a little bit of support. That to me is what's kind of scary. So, Young,
yeah, the level.
No, go ahead.
No, the level's high. No, I'm just saying the level's high, and like I said, the competition between those countries is always high. And I think they get to stay again. Going back to the regional thing, they stand in front of each other way more often than we probably stand in front of them. Me too, you know.
So the channel
with each other
in English it is said as Kazakhstan. So that's a stress on the first syllable. Kazakh.
I was just trying to help Coach Moreno.
As a second
he was stumbling a little bit, so I figured we got to get Kazakhstan. So
sorry about that.
Yeah.
No, but sorry, not sorry.
Those countries are strong, and I think they come back with Olympic medals, and it's probably the highest finishes in their country for any Olympic games. Like that's what it was in Jordan, right? It was their first Olympic gold medal.
Yeah.
Something big like that. So, I think that's history changing.
Yeah,
right?
but what
so
the countries realize is this, and this is what we realize at the Olympic Council of Asia. With a little bit of money, you can change your country's medal output. So we looked at sports. Where does it require? And this is the ideal of the Olympics. The Olympics is what can sport for all be? So it means it's got to be a sport that can be done anywhere. It's got to be a sport that doesn't have a high bar of entry with regard to finance. And then it does... correct, right? And then the last one is, it's got to be something which the technical component of it can be learned quickly and mastered thereafter. And Taekwondo is perfect for that. Swimming is not necessarily, but Taekwondo is. In equestrian, not so much. So when you're looking at a country, if you have fast, athletic, agile athletes, and you say, what can they do? Track and field, for sure. Taekwondo for another. I mean, this is why.
I'm going to try to spoon feed you because you see where I'm going with this. Like, again, on the Olympic global movement, one of the things that was attractive is that it wasn't so expensive, correct? I mean, now there's electronics and stuff like that, and it was open to a lot of countries that didn't have resources. Like you said, it was very simple to get in, and in not a short time, there was resources where these athletes could go up very quickly technically. Am I wrong or right?
Right. And now you've just hit the second part where the rub is, right? And the idea is when you do a sport for all. Soccer's played everywhere. And the reason is you just need a ball. You don't even necessarily need a good field.
No.
Taekwondo, you need bodies. You don't need uniforms, you don't need belts, you don't need targets. You can teach it pretty much anywhere. But now, when you get to the second component of it, people trying to excel or make an Olympic team, with the qualification process, you're putting people in a place where it's difficult, not impossible, but challenging to make an Olympic team because of the amount of money it takes to, A, develop an athlete, B, to fund the athlete actually making the qualification process.
Let me ask you something.
For me, it's the ranking. Yeah. I think it's the ranking. The ranking kind of dictated and changed all that stuff. Like I understand that. I know that's where all the modern sports are went in that direction. There's a ranking, there's a bracketing, blah blah blah. But there was also something said about showing up to the tournament, and the bracket is what it is. And I know we can talk, there was cheating, there was manipulation of the bracket and putting people here, everywhere. But I think that changes everything. Now you got to go get ranking points. You want there's a race to top whatever, top five,
but
top
that's
six.
That's my point exactly. In other words, now you have put yourself.
Yeah.
In other words, you have economically disadvantaged
Yeah.
certain countries. You have you've done racism, just economic racism. So now, if you're in a country that can't afford it, or you have a country that doesn't have an established Olympic Committee funding system, or you're in a country where the Ministry of Sport funds it, which is the majority of the countries, they say, you know, we could do this, or we can do jump roping for our entire country and get these fat bodies into shape. So why should we spend $2 million on a small sport that when we watch, we don't understand? And the most that we're going to put on a podium are 2 people. Now, if those 2 people can win, i.e. in the case of Jordan and stuff like this, but that's why these other countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and you know, the countries that can afford it, that have gas reserves, the ones that are interesting that don't perform are the ones that have money, but culturally don't have a history of sport. And that's, I hate to say it, Saudi Arabia.
But they're coming up in Taekwondo.
They're coming, because now they're doing the Aspire Academies. But,
so let me ask
Saudi
you
Arabia, think about Kuwait. The average Kuwaiti gets a pension for life. So is he going to go sweat in a gym for 6 to 8 hours to become a world? It doesn't matter to him. He gets married. He gets money to get married. Gets a house. He goes to college. His college is paid for entirely. He comes out of college, goes into society, minimum of $300,000 or $400,000. That's it. So, you know, imagine that here. So they're losing athletes to complacency and quality of life. The athletes that, do well historically are the ones that this is their choice between poverty and a life. So when they get in the ring, they're like, "Oh, dude, I gotta win so I can have a life." But I apologize. Go ahead.
No, so I was gonna, man, I got it.
But wouldn't that be the same for other? So you're saying other sports don't have the poverty or life thing, and it still affects other sports too, right? Or you just
affects every sport.
Every sport.
You can't name a sport that some of the countries that I mentioned have even. You look at watch the Olympic team march in. Just watch the opening ceremonies. And then it affects every sport.
What I was going to say, I mean, because TJ, you took me in a different direction, but I like what you said. Like the ranking changed everything. Well, first of all, I want to say that Taekwondo was supposed to be a sport that didn't require so much financial, input, and that's why it was for all, and that's why we excel with so many countries. Now it's becoming, in the digital age, it's becoming more expensive. But TJ, you said the ranking changed all that too, because you're right, Young. It kind of discriminated against countries that don't have a lot of resources. But I think while it was well intentioned to have a world ranking, it benefited one part of the world, and that's Europe, because of the proximity and the geography of it. It did not help at all South or Central America. It didn't even help Asia, because Asia is Asia. They're going to do martial arts regardless. So when I look at this, is it the duty of the WT to reassess this and say, you know what, it was well-intentioned, but over the last 10 years, one group of the world has really dominated in the rankings, in the results.
They want that, though. The Europeans want it. They would have said the Europeans love it. And the reason they love it is they are like, to be frank, the Europeans in proximity are the same as the United States with Kentucky to, North Carolina. Yeah. And so when you can get the majority of the points by just going on a plane out 2-3 hours away and not have to get on a 16-hour flight, that's a different world. So the Euros love it. And the reason the Euros love it is they don't have to run the WTF or the WT or whatever it's called. The reason they don't have to run it is they do run it. They run the part of it that matters. Mm-hmm. So Cho and his clown show, for lack of a better word, or probably the most apropos word I can think of, there's nobody in it. They don't have a brain trust that can fix it. So rumor is Cho's going to run again, unless, cirrhosis of the liver gets him. And then after that, it'll be Yang Jinban. And Yang Jinban's worse. Yang Jinban is the reason you have pushing. Because in his warped mind of Taekwondo 20 years ago, when we had this conversation in his room down in Yongin, he was like, oh, you can eliminate a grabbing if you allow pushing. I mean, you can eliminate people punching people in the body if you let them kick them in the balls. I mean, what kind of rationale is that? So, his rationale for it has destroyed the sport. Now, if you put that guy in charge, Cho's inept. That's different. He's ignorant and inept. Yang Jinban is not ignorant, nor is he inept. He's skilled. He's a skilled politician. He's got a Napoleon complex, and he would use that Napoleon complex to enforce even further his idea of what Taekwondo would be. The shame of it is there was a point where he was respected by some of the best players for strategic stuff. And if you remember, he did the original education tapes, the Turk, the Educational Resource Channel or whatever it was called. And he did a lot of great tapes. This guy, I don't know what Kool-Aid he's drinking, what version of flavored soju he's drinking, but this guy has destroyed the sport.
But Young, I think it's like anything. Well, things are well intentioned at the beginning. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's the truth of the matter. Is when there's no checks and balances from these guys anymore, and they start to running things, it's like their guy, and then they get supported, and it's just here. It's very few times where they get people on the outside, that will chime in. And if they do, they're afraid to because they're going to be looked at poorly. I'm sorry, TJ.
Okay, so flash. Here's the flash quiz. Ready? And this is like I had a drummer in my band. We would argue about music all the time, and he didn't like the songs I picked. So he loved Iron Maiden. And I said, okay, quick, name 3 Iron Maiden tunes that are known. He got to 1. So here goes your flash quiz. You ready, guys? WT quiz. You ready? Name 5 non-Koreans that run the organization.
Yeah.
Silence. Oh, hold on a second.
I don't know.
Mic drop. All right, great. Now, dude, you want one better than that? Name 1 in the Kukiwon.
Yeah.
So, the problem is starting to sound similar, right? Here's the problem. There's a nationalism, a nepotism, a xenophobia, and then a desire to hold on to the reins of power no matter what clown is in power. So they put the clown in charge, the same guy that couldn't get his act together in Korea to run his family business and couldn't run the university. He needed something to do. So they gave him this. And then all the sycophants around him who want to be close to the fire, Jay Warwick, Steve McNally, the list goes on. And by the way, including others in the sport who, out of respect for them as fighters, I won't mention their names, they're hanger-ons because they get to go to the show, they get to hang out, they get to kiss the ring, they get to drink soju and scotch, and they get to hang out close to the fire. They don't care what happens to the sport because they're not doing it anymore. And that's where the shame comes in. So fundamentally, as an athlete who's done the sport, as an administrator who's administered the sport, as a guy who continues to perpetuate the sport, all of us, do we have a philosophical, moral, or ethical obligation to continue to make it better? The one thing I will say about karate...
They're not trying to make it better.
No, hold on.
But they're not trying to make it
karate.
better.
Let me talk about karate for a moment. At least with karate, whether you like it or you hate it, they try to hold on to what they believe to be their aesthetic, their moral, ethical framework of how to do it. Now, you can love or hate it, but it's like fencing. I could make fencing way more exciting. They have their way. They have their thing. They didn't compromise it to any great degree, and it's still fencing. And now you take that same argument for karate, who didn't compromise all that much, or you take that same argument to judo, who compromises a little.
No, you're right.
And then take it to fencing, and then now go to taekwondo. What did they do? They did the monkey dance. They're like, hey, look at me. Hey, keep me in the Olympics. Look. Oh, you don't like the cheating? All right, we'll make it really dumb and no fun, but there won't be any cheating anymore. And it's still cheating, because who controls the match now? More than anyone, who controls the match?
The referee.
The referee. Yeah. Worse, because now instead of taking 3 to lose, just takes 1 guy.
Listen.
Anyway,
my point about this was, I forgot where we were talking about the entry level into it, but one of the things that I was going to bring up is like I just signed up my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, for a tournament within the USA organization, and it cost me, ready for this? And I think we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
$190 to register, a $5 administration fee. I thought I was done. I'm like, damn. And then when I picked her division, her weight category, it was $30 more. So to register is $190, and to pick your division, it's $30. I'm like, $225 to compete at a tournament? That's not even like a...
How much was US Open?
Like
$160?
So how is that? How is it?
I think it was like $160.
That website again is www.mexican.com.
You know what? And
Send your
I
checks.
think it was like 160 or something like that. I don't think it was two something.
I looked the other day. There was probably 400 or 500 people signed up for a 3-day event, and you got to throw in that's Pomse, little kids. I'm like, imagine again. I'm just saying, putting out there. I know that's not their concern, but imagine you just as one of these weird divisions, and you're light or you're heavy, and you have 1 or 2 people in your division, maybe nobody. You spent $235 plus airfare plus hotel, and it just. There's got to be a better way to do this.
To qualify for nationals, right? You qualify for nationals.
I mean,
and if you medal, you get into the final.
Oh yeah, it's just show up and qualify. I mean, just
that's what I'm saying. You qualify as soon as you register.
Do it for states I don't know, man. It's just I was really, shocked.
Next time you're in Kentucky. That's all I'm saying. Kentucky's pretty close to North, whatever, Carolina. So.
I don't know. I
thought this was not a thing. It's a thing. Who knew?
I was a little shocked by that, to be honest with you guys. I was just like 235. If I'm just, if I got 2 kids fighting, or if I'm doing 2 divisions, I mean, I'm just like, this is.
Dude, just imagine if you had to travel to the event. You had 2 kids fighting. You had 1 kid fighting. You, your wife, and your daughter have to get a hotel room. And then because they cut a deal with the hotel room, you got to do certain things at the hotel. And so, it's a money train. And I don't mind if the money's going back to athletes.
Though. Nothing's changed. Forget that. You're definitely not going back to the athletes, but it's not like you show up to these places and they're like super nice, or it's decked out, or you got all these amenities or something like that. It's the same shit.
Definitely not like a California gold medal or peak performance gym. I'll tell you that.
What do you have now? Like you have, I mean, I think it's good, but it's like you have virtual credentials. I mean, it's stuff like. It's crazy.
So they're saving money.
That's my point.
They're saving money.
My point. And
it's good to save money though if you're spending the money in the right place. I'm not opposed to saving money.
No, I understand, but it's not. Again, then we just go back to the top of everything I say every week. They're not funding anybody. They're not using it for anybody.
I got a weird nugget for you. I mean, kind of flipping the saying in Taekwondo. I mean, so I heard now for the this is crazy. I don't know if you heard this, TJ. Maybe I told you. For the under 22 Pan Am Games, under 22 Pan Am Games is official sport. In order to coach at that, you have to have a PAT2 coaching certification. Okay, so that's a regional. And you had to take it in person, and there was only 2. One in, I don't know when it was, but it's passed already. And they just put out this requirement, supposedly, in writing on April 15th. So I'm just saying, for the record, I know that Brazil, Canada, Haiti, I'm almost positive USA, none of those coaches have gone to the certification, but they won't accept the WT GAL. I can understand if you don't have any certification, but if you got the highest of the high, and they won't accept that,
everything else falls under it.
Yeah.
But so I don't know what's going to come of this, because obviously there's a bunch of coaches that wouldn't be able to coach their athletes for their country at this event. So I don't know if that's going to get fixed or not, but I thought that was crazy.
Well, let me tell you how to get fixed. So here's what you do. It's like training a dog or a cat. So you get a bottle of scotch and you put it on a table. And then every time Senor Jefe
this is not Cho.
doesn't do his job, but ultimately it is. WT has the right under its rules to enforce rules over any member nation association.
I think this will get fixed. Yeah. This has to get fixed.
Just take away the scotch.
Take
away the scotch. No scotch for you no soup for you. So just take away the scotch. Oh, no. Are we bringing your beautiful daughter here?
I'm going to do this because I'm going to make her, because she's been wearing this goofy. Come here. Go over. You're going to laugh at. No, don't take it. Don't take it off.
Don't they send the kids to school in Florida?
Bring your child to a work day, but I don't work till later. But look at this. I don't know. Tell me, does she look like a cockatoo? Come here. Look at
that is beautiful. Show her pictures of you in 1988. I would say, Daddy, I remember your hair in 1988.
You look like a damn parrot.
You look like Ignatz from Crazy Cat.
Hey, it's because you guys did it to me, Mr. Listen, TJ.
Oh,
TJ,
I saw your hairdo.
TJ,
I saw your hairdo. That band hairdo go crazy.
Can I go?
That's a whole different level.
How far can Save Sport go back? Because I ain't gonna say, but I was bullied and thrown into a dryer machine and turned on and amongst other things. So I don't know. I think I'm getting the PTSD from that. right now.
I think you can get some money.
I don't need
you
money.
can get some money.
I don't need no money.
Mex, I can.
Mex, I can. No, but I mean, those two things, kind of caught me today or last week. The entry fee into like basically a local event, and then thinking about here we go.
It started with a brick. That's all I'm going to say.
What the heck is?
Where do you find this?
I know.
Dude, you know how hard it is to be me and be creative so that I can make you guys, enjoy your lives a little bit. I mean, it's not easy. I noticed you still haven't gotten rid of that picture. If you just slide a little to the, I mean, at least my picture looks like I'm wearing headphones.
Oh, that is kind of cool.
Yeah, like
that's not why he did it. His head's just big and it fits in the middle.
I do have a big head. I didn't realize. I took some pictures. I went to the orthodontist yesterday because I have a tooth tilting in the back, and they're like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Dude, I'll be dead by the time you fix this." But and then they took pictures of my smile and my face, and they're like, "Smile not." I can't smile. I'm not a smiler. But I was like, "Dude, is that my face? Is that really what my neck looks like and my face?" So I'm gonna start. You're gonna see me. I'll be like this now. There was a time.
And like we always talk, going back to you about to tell me more about your neck. I don't think I can take you more about your neck. You look this, but going back to like the organization and how you were benefited from all that stuff like that. It's the organization of we talk about the competition and the level of the competitions. Now we can talk about the people entered, but it's the way they're set up. It's the way they're run. It's the way they're put together. I mean, we're playing at a disadvantage the whole time. I know we've always said that historically a little bit, but I think it's that it's worse now. We got tournaments getting canceled, tournaments getting moved, tournaments not people showing up.
It can get worse.
So there's literally not that much going on.
No, it can get worse. Don't trust me, it'll get worse. So like at the Olympic level, I'll tell you what's going. You already know what's going on, but I'll tell you what's going on at the Olympic and the Asian game level. The Asian games have become so unmanageable and so expensive that only a handful of countries can pull it off. And in fact, most of the countries don't bid. And then when they do bid and they realize the true cost associated with it, they just let it go. And that's what's happening. You'd be better served the way the Olympics have gone to designate 5 or 4 hubs for it, and they rotate it every 20 years because then you'd have the infrastructure and it would be in place. And so you'd have somewhere in North America. Yeah. And it's built every 5 to every whatever the right amount is. And you do it with the winter, summer and the winter. This way you have every 4 years or every 12 years, because 20 might be too long, you're getting an Olympic property. And now you have somewhere in North America, somewhere in Asia, somewhere in the Middle East, somewhere in Africa, somewhere in Oceania maybe. And those are the countries that can afford it. Like Japan or Korea can afford it. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan can afford it. United States, North America, Mexico maybe can afford it. And then you don't have to worry anymore about infrastructure and people bidding. And it's a business now. It's a multinational organizational business with infrastructure that you maintain. And by the way, on the off years, you hold world championships in those venues. So you have 5 regional ones. Every 5 years, you're going to rotate the Olympics, the World Championships, the Pan Am Games, the Asian Games. Now you've got a sustainable model. Instead, we go, all right, how much can we charge Paris? What do we hope to make from Paris if we're the IOC? Paris does the math and it says, what do we think we can make? You have countries struggling under the staggering debt like a Brazil when they hosted the Olympics. Now, I guarantee you, it's about the right time. Next time you go back to Brazil, coach, go look at the Olympic venues. See if they're still standing. See if they're still being used.
They are.
Or look, that's good.
No, they learned. They did an Olympic legacy program because of what you're talking about, how these things get all messed up. They actually, every NGB has to utilize the Olympic, what do you call it?
But even in a country like ours, go to Atlanta. 2000, go to Atlanta. You want to know what happened to all of those?
But TJ, I think we could do this, even if it's for a cycle or even 2 cycles. Let's say you said the World Championships are going to be here. The Asian, just literally lay it out, right? Literally lay it out. Let each country do that. And you're going to be like, why do we always have to go to Mexico? Why do we always have to go to Korea? Whatever it is, at least people could budget for it. They could plan for it and they can build for it. And then maybe, if it's that structured and we know it's going to be a good quality, it'll be able to replicate to the next, place. I think
that's what we did here in the United States. We looked at it economically, and we said, where is the best place that we can situate and locate our Olympic training center for Taekwondo? And all the votes came in, and we chose North Carolina. Give me a break. So, the United States, USA Taekwondo is
Colorado first, right?
Well, Colorado, but you got to understand what Colorado was. And the historical perspective, when they put Colorado there, it was perfect. It was an old Army base. It was located and by the way, you know what wasn't there?
No, not where they were. They were at some other place. I guess I'm confused on why they didn't try to get back into.
Oh, that you're talking about the new one. Oh yeah. No, but the original reason it ended up in Colorado.
You're talking about
Taekwondo.
Yeah, I'm just talking about Taekwondo.
You're talking about Taekwondo.
It was off campus.
And the Olympic Training Center.
Yeah.
The Olympic Training Center doesn't work anymore in Colorado Springs. So the truth is that the Olympic Training Center, sir, and I use the word plural. I was on the committee for a long time that decided what training centers should be built and what should be partnered and what should be removed. And there was a lot of conversation about making those regional depending upon the sport. And that's why you saw Chula Vista for rowing and all that sort of stuff, soccer too. And then the idea was, why do you have the business offices, which was sensible, of the Olympic Committee in Colorado nowhere? So they moved to New York, which makes sense, right? Get a place where you're close to where people want to come and be and get to easily, right? And so if you were looking at a modern structure for the Olympic Committee, I would gather what you would guess would be this. You do no longer need an Olympic training center other than to convene athletes to go somewhere, because your best training, as we discussed last week, is with your current coach in your current training environment, and you should fund that to the best of your ability with controls.
So you're saying national team systems don't work anymore then? Like a centralized training year-round is not
pick one that does. Pick one that does. So take basketball, for example, which is a bad example and a good example. Take baseball, for example. All of our athletes that are any good or in a window of opportunity are usually student athletes that are either high school to college, and if they're post that, they're professional. None of them, if they're a pro player, they're not coming. If they're a college athlete, they can't come. And if they're a high school athlete, they could but won't. So in what framework does a national training center for anything work?
I know what you're saying, because the United States is a big country, and you're right, there in almost every discipline there's good coaches and stuff like that. But I do believe, whether it's boxing or wrestling, if you put the right program with the right coach and give people the opportunities.
Bella Caroli's a perfect example. Juan Moreno's another great example. When people move to Miami to train with Juan Moreno in an Olympic or national training center where they need, the answer is yes. And why though? Because it's Miami.
Well, no,
and in Miami, you can get good. No, and you and Miami, that combination works.
Yeah.
Juan Moreno let me put you somewhere. Juan Moreno in the newly acquired Greenland next week. Do they come?
I mean, Greenland's pretty far. Probably, I think I'm gonna say no.
Alaska. How about Alaska?
I mean, listen, if it was a good facility, they would come. And I mean, they went with Karolyi in the middle of nowhere. So my point is,
I love my son, and my son is a good soccer player, as we talk about every week. If the training center were in the middle of nowhere and the education program was online, which is one of the reasons we didn't do it, I wouldn't send my son, because he's got a life post career.
But listen, that's for you. There's probably way more people that would say, you know what, I would do the sport, and if I could do classes online, and when I'm done with the sport, probably by the time I'm 23, 24, I'll have my education. I can go get further education. I did both.
Let me give you a couple of names. You ready? Yeah. Jimmy Grazier.
What about him?
Where is he now?
He's in California with the martial arts school.
Okay. Where was he before?
Colorado.
For how long?
I know he was Florida.
Whitey Ford. You know who Whitey Ford is?
Yeah, baseball player.
No, Whitey Ford was a judo Olympian who lived at the Olympic Training Center. Oh. Never had a medal performance, but he lived there for 20 years or something.
Judo was horrible back then.
On.
No, but those are horrible. Those are horrible examples.
I like them.
I mean, Jimmy Grayson.
I don't have to be right. I just have to be loud.
I understand. I think there's a benefit of having a national. I think you always have to have the highest level, like the one that's supposed to be the national training center or like the Olympic training center. It works in other countries. It's not like this doesn't happen in other countries.
Yeah,
maybe
that's all I'm saying.
Maybe they do whatever, but they have training.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Young, because you're right. There's other places, other educational things, blah blah blah. But most people, different than your son, like when they want to do the sport, that's all they think. They're like, how do I go pro? College is not an option. Education is not. I'm going pro. In Taekwondo, I wish people would do your route, education, because there's really nothing for you after the Olympic Games. And after the Olympic Games, it's, hey, congratulations, get out of the way, we'll bring somebody else. And so if they could do
college
both,
sport in general, lacrosse gets you into an Ivy League. Yeah. So you want a high chance
they got
to
a pro
get
league now. Those guys got a pro league.
But they don't make that much. But you get like lacrosse or rowing.
Yeah.
A good example. Team handball. Well, those things will get you into colleges, right? Volleyball will get you into college, but there's money to be made in the pros. But, like there's got to be a balance between, one of the things I liked about Northwestern, right? The program that I saw there. They had a legacy program where the legacy of the alumni, they start with freshmen. And while they're doing their athletic career, besides the academics, which are great there, they're working a legacy networking thing. So by the time they graduate, they might have 1,000 or 2,000 contacts and trips. And so they're one of those things. And the Olympics had it for a while. I don't know if they still have it. And TJ may have gone to it. It was the, I'm not talking about O-Job, but the Olympics had the thing where they were training guys for post-career. And I can't remember what it was called.
Olympic Alumni Association.
Yeah. But there was one where it was really like, okay, we're going to have workshops. We're going to tell you how to do a resume. We're going to teach you how to do whatever. And I thought those were great ideas because the reality is, as much as we'd like to believe we're eternal and forever, and our athletic careers will continue forever and we'll stretch them, they just don't. You got to have a business component to what you're doing.
Well, listen, it's funny you talk about sports, like, collegiate sports, because, I follow collegiate sports for basically my whole life. And I see these huge programs like Alabama, Duke, North Carolina, way bigger programs than little soccer stuff, because soccer is this big in the world. Imagine American football. It's just, it's like talking Taekwondo or baseball. It's a big difference. But it's funny because the world is changing, even with the, we talked about this a little bit, Young, the NIL now. These kids are literally making $1 million, and they're leaving their school because they're like, now, you know what? University of Miami will give me $4 million to play quarterback. Guys are leaving $2 million contract. College kids driving up in Bentleys and Rolls Royce, and think about this, and they're just leaving they open up the portal, and these kids are gone after spring practice. They're like, you know what? I'm not playing here, or I'm gonna have to wait behind TJ. I can go over here down the street, and they'll give me more money, and I'll play right away. It's crazy. Talk about contacts. Talk about and it's going all the way down. In Florida right now, we have a big problem, and I heard it's going nationwide with American football at high school level. They're paying these kids at high school level, and there's no boundaries. Remember when we were growing up, you had to play in this area because that's where you lived. No, these kids, they can go anywhere, and now they can switch like in the middle. They don't have to wait a season. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Well, that was, the problem was that before all this, you got to remember that the college athletes had no rights. They were indentured servants. They were slaves. Yeah. So all the money that was made in big sports, and the rationale was the Olympic. And one of my dear friends who was on the podcast a while ago, Dr. Schiller, Harvey Schiller, said, the way this works is, because one year I was training and I got $17,000, right? And back then that was like a lot of money. Yeah. The next year I got 11. So when I went in to talk to them, they said, no, you did better. You won the World Cup, but we have a pile of money and more people applied for it. We got to spread it out through everybody, which was true, right? So he says, you got to understand that the high profile sports where we get all the sponsorship dollars funds the most grassroots, horrible sport that gets no money. So table tennis or whatever the sport is, the curling thing or whatever it's called, pentathlon, nobody's sponsoring those guys. So the money that we make in big sport pays for the money in little sport. And the kid who's not going to be a pro, and his only thing is going to be the warm-ups and the T-shirts. So that's what the original model was for college. However, then they realized they're paying college coaches $5 million. They're filling stadiums. They're building stadiums. Right now, Northwestern's building a $1 billion stadium. It's like $800 $90 million or something. And it was sponsored by a huge donor. But that's because they think and they know they'll fill them, and that money will go into programs, which they also split up among the athletes who don't get money. So the NIL money, I understand now. And now I made a connection the other day, which I didn't make. So you see all these kids on TikTok doing videos. Well, they're trying to build their NIL dollars. Yeah. And I'm just like, so now it's not enough just to be a good athlete. You got to be a smart athlete. You got to market. You need a marketing thing. Now, remember to train, because I can point to a guy that apparently didn't understand there's no NIL money in Taekwondo, who was shirt off, draking and caging or whatever. He was Kendall Lamar, and he forgot to win a tournament, right? Yeah. So even if there were NIL dollars, he's got SIL dollars, shit out of luck dollars.
I forgot to tell you. I mean, on that, Camila quit Taekwondo last night.
Who did?
My daughter, Camila, said,
why?
Talking about because we just had one of our students, sister, signed an $80,000 deal with pickleball. So I pulled her out of Taekwondo. I said, man, we started to go peak performance pickleball, homie. We're about to title that stuff up, man. So
people love pickleball. I talked to a guy yesterday. He's all mad because they're not. By the way, nobody apparently wants a pickleball course by their house.
Just to go play pickleball? Come on.
If I was still competing, I'd think about it. I ain't doing it now. I'm not that good.
Do you know how many Joker pictures you could buy?
11 years old. If you're 11 years old.
You could buy 80,000 Joker pictures.
I'm going to send you one of these pictures. I'm going to send you one of these pictures. You seem to be in love with this picture. I'm going to send you one.
Send the money to Mexican. That's why I want you to send that money.
You got a whole lot of GoFundMe's, man.
A whole lot of
they're not. Nobody's. I'm the only one funding it. Has that changed? We should actually start. We should do two things. We should start a GoFundMe, and the other thing we should start is a revolution. So we keep talking about evolution. It's not happening. So the only way this is going to happen is if the three of us, it's like that band back in the 80s, 2 Mexicans, a Puerto Rican, and a Dominican. You don't know about this band?
No.
Are you kidding me? Oh, I got to do another search here.
Oh my God!
I can't believe you guys
never say no.
I want to do a revolution.
Never say no.
We need to do a Mexican.
a revolution.
Hey, TJ, you know what's been quiet? After we've been doing this podcast, things have been quiet. On the social media front.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can find it.
I just get a lot of. I get a lot of the person-to-person conversations and you guys, like you were saying, you guys are saying, saying the right thing, doing the right thing. It makes sense this, it makes sense that. I think one of you guys said on one of them, let us know, right in the chat, write in the responses to the videos, repost the videos, talk about the videos. The same thing we talk about everything else, but I think it's just for sure it's got a little bit of quiet,
not that. I'm talking about even from the administration type. It seemed like they were always popping off about something that we said here or there, individually. What the heck is that?
Dude, we got half of this right now. All we got to do is change one of the Puerto Ricans to a Mexican. So it's 2 Puerto Ricans, a black man, and a Dominican. It was a live.
What is this?
This was a house music band. You guys don't know this?
No.
Dude, I'm gonna find this. I gotta find this. There's a video, I'm sure, somewhere. But you never heard this? They have music.
Have you ever heard a song? I would know.
Let me see what the songs are.
Oh my God.
Apparently, they worked with CNC Music Factory, who I know the guy.
Yeah, I know CNC Music Factory.
I did an event. He did an event with the guy. Nicest guy in the world, by the way. Really, he's really. We had dinner at Frank Silverman's house. But let me see. Dave Morales. They scored a hit in the dance club with "Do It Properly." So now we got to find. We got to. You never heard? Well, you're obviously not a Dominican.
There you go, right here. It's right here. Can you
got it?
No, we can't hear you.
Here it goes.
You can't hear it?
No.
I'm gonna put it on now. Here it comes. And actually, this was produced, I think, by the guy who did CNC. Hold on. I know you guys can't see me dancing. That's some jungle house.
It was probably hot and sweaty and musty in that club. It was like a steam bath.
Oh, you know this song. Do it properly.
Not sure I do.
This sounds like some Ron Burgundy stuff.
Dude, there you go, man, right there. What have we been doing? We're wasting our time. We could have had a rap group.
Man.
A Puerto Rican,
Burgundy.
well, half Puerto Rican, Polish, Mexican, and an almost black guy. This would be a hell of a band.
Wait, we said almost Puerto Rican, Mexican, Polish guy. What?
Who's the almost black guy? Me?
I guess that's got to be. I don't know. I think it's me, but I could be the
You're
Polish,
Dominican.
half Puerto
You're
Rican,
Dominican.
Mexican.
You got to be Dominican.
Okay.
You got to be the Dominican, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna redo the song. I'll remix it, and then we can do the vocals for it. We'll do it almost properly. Actually, no, dude, what an idea! I'm doing this for next week. I'm rewriting our anthem.
Oh no!
It's going to be "Sorry, Not Sorry."
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
I'm gonna create the lyrics.
Hey, who's our next guest? Who would be good for next guest? Coach, we've only had two.
You set down the gauntlet. You set down the gauntlet
I
already.
call Steve Caveman.
All right. So I'm sending him a copy of the podcast, and then I'm going to make a time that he can make it. You guys might have to get out of your jammies. TJ, you're going to have to get out of your Hello Kitties. And
next week's going to be fun because I'm going to be in Uzbekistan. So I mean, we'll coordinate. Right. So I'll be.
All right, so I'll get him to give me some times because he's retired now. He got up yesterday morning. He was doing some push-ups, and then he goes out and he plays golf, and then he does a little bit of teaching just because he likes to teach. And I'll see what time works for him, but I might be very quiet on that because he's a formidable mind, and I don't want to be formulated.
So we're not formidable minds, Coach.
I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
You said
you're projecting and you're internalizing and projecting.
No.
You know, so
no, that was a crazy.
No. I didn't say you are not. I simply said he is. Just because somebody is something doesn't mean that you are not.
But you know what's funny is because I mean, again, he's going to talk about. We'll talk about it, but he's going to bring up.
How do you know what he's going to talk about?
No.
Are you a prophet?
I am.
What are you? Are you a mind reader?
I said when he comes on, we'll talk. But I know he can only present one side. He's going to present the old school side and what Taekwondo's changed into and why.
I have no idea what he's going to say.
I know, but
you are offending his sensei, sir. You better slow down.
But what I'm saying is, no. But let me finish. Let me
there.
finish. What I'm saying is, normally I'm arguing with him, but like it's going to be fun to kind of put on like, okay, I never did old school and talk about some of the new school. Like again, I can go both ways. I can debate both sides of the argument. You know, I can make a big argument for old school, new school, you know, somewhere where it could be in the future. You know, I'm not gonna like Herb when you guys I know they never fixed the problem. I agree. I don't think anybody disagrees. You know, they put the electronics don't work. I agree. But the electronics change what Taekwondo looks like. I agree, but don't act like Taekwondo looked perfect back then. Don't act like that because I'll put up some videos of some sorry-ass Taekwondo people. I can put up some awesome ones too, and it can go both ways. So that's my point of all.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
But I'm going to give you a preview.
안녕하세요. 반갑습니다. 그래서 오늘은
Oh my God, that's Stephen Caveman. Isn't that what are we watching?
One of the things that
ready to lose the hat.
I'm telling you, this is one of his many interviews.
You can regain your hair and your
color. So you
got.
I was.
This is years ago. Oh, you didn't say that out loud.
We changed the scoring system so.
Is this Karen Eden
until
person?
Then, all techniques were
Susan,
given
whatever
only 1 point.
Is.
Okay.
And we changed it so that a turning kick is awarded 2 points. Mm-hmm. And a face kick is awarded 3 points because we want to reward the more technically
difficult. This is
difficult.
actually a good.
If you think
this
of
is a good interview. This is where.
And I think that's where the issue started, right?
Well, because we changed the scoring system.
Everything was 1 point, should have been 1 point. You kicked people in the face because their hands were down. You spun on people because they went too slow to the open side. Now you prioritize scoring over technique. Okay. That's where it got messed up.
It's his fault. It's his fault that it changed.
Actually, it's my.
When you hit someone, it was because that's where they were open.
This was.
Now I'm leaving my leg in the air and trying to touch them with my toes.
I will take responsibility.
You get more points for punching people in the face in boxing or in the body.
Nah, same. They go down. They go down.
There you go. I'm on TJ's side. Team TJ.
All right. Well, today we're gonna have to wrap it up here because I gotta go be a responsible parent and volunteer at my son's school. which we pay a ridiculous amount of money for. So I'm doing a CPR course, whatever.
You can remind me. I want to talk about the round by round scoring because somebody said I was listening to a really cool thing on Joe Rogan. Try to segue. He was talking about like at the end of a round, if I have you down, when the round starts, we shouldn't start standing up. We should start where we were because you didn't get out of that position in a real fight. He said the fight should continue going. So I'd like to talk about that kind of thing next time.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for this week. Sorry we're a little shorter than usual, but as usual, TJ brought a lot of meaningful content and intellectual. And then remember, if you remember nothing else from this, Juan has thrown the gauntlet down. Gauntlet down. And you'll be hearing our new single, Sorry But Not Sorry by Puerto Rican, a Dominican, fake Dominican, and a Mexican.
Peace.
Us.
Later.